Hello, my name is Natalie Fitzgerald and I'm the General Manager of More Than Strata. We're making this video today so we can bring you up to date in relation to important amendments to the law as it relates to strata owners and building defects. This is important information for any owner in a strata building that is 10 years old or less and has building defects. The first piece of legislation we're going to talk about is the Design and Building Practitioners Bill, which will commence in July 2021. This act deals predominantly with the matter of duty of care, in so much that it puts a duty of care onto builders, developers, and other practitioners such as building engineers involved in the construction of a new complex. This is important because in 2014, the Brookfield decision found that builders, developers, and others involved in building strata buildings did not owe a duty of care to strata owners. At the time, this was a real blow to owners, leaving them only the option of pursuing defects under the Home Building Act. This new legislation puts back in place a duty of care. This is particularly important because the duty of care extends from when the building is completed for a total of 10 years. This gives owners an extended period of time to standard warranties, which last between 2 and 6 years, depending on the building defect. This legislation will also require the registration of practitioners and professionals involved in building complexes. This includes engineers. Until this legislation commences, while there are voluntary places engineers can be registered, it's not mandatory. Finally, the legislation will require increased insurance requirements on all practitioners. This is really exciting news for owners corporations as it extends their ability to commence action or to seek recovery from parties who have caused financial distress or a defect through poor building. It will also allow engineers and other practitioners to be held liable in the event that it is their misstep or mistake that causes the building defect. Best of all, it extends the period to enable owners to commence action from 2 years or 6 years, depending on the defect, to up to 10 years. This legislation will be retrospective, which is really important for owners to know. We suggest that if you are an owner in a strata building that may have already reached its 6-year defect period, but you are suffering as a result of building defects, that you seek advice on how this new legislation commencing next year may be useful for you. The second piece of legislation that has been passed is the Residential Apartment Buildings Compliance and Enforcement Act. This legislation will commence on the 1st of September this year, so not long until it begins. This legislation gives the building commissioner and his office powers to deny a builder or developer an occupation certificate in the event a building is deemed to be likely to have building defects as a result of the way it is being constructed. This is very important as it will absolutely motivate builders and developers to build properly. Why? Well, you cannot settle a building without an occupation certificate. This is the first time that builders and developers face serious consequences if they do not build the building the way it needs to be done at the very start. The legislation will also give the Building Commissioner's Office the ability to demand that builders and developers go back and remediate building defects. Again, this is an opportunity and an amendment that may change owners corporations needing to take costly and timely and stressful legal action to get their buildings fixed. It's exciting, they're good changes. What the Enforcement Act does do is go even further. If builders and developers fail to comply with the requirements put on them by the Building Commissioner's Office, or if they hinder investigations, they face substantial penalties of $110,000 for individuals and $330,000 for bodies corporate. Again, this is legislation that's really going to motivate builders and developers to build good products. These new laws have been designed to reinvigorate consumer confidence in new build strata. The government is working hard to get the economy in relation to new build to thrive once again. This is fantastic news as it helps owners protect the value of their apartments that they've purchased both off the plan and in recent times. If you do have any questions in relation to these new amendments, please do get in touch with the team at More Than Strata. We'd love to assist you to pursue your rights when it comes to building defects. Have a great day.